some things in life that sometimes don't move the way that I'd like them to. I personally don't think that I did things the best way and actually lost a lot of time unnecessarily focusing on the wrong things. If I could just go back and look at that kid right when I was getting into computers, learning how to code, and working with these concepts, here's what I would tell him. Number one, don't be afraid to ask questions. I think this was my biggest issue as I was starting to code and learning in my professional career was how do I effectively ask questions and how do I not feel bad about asking questions? Unfortunately, in the majority of schools, whether that's high school, college, asking questions is seen as, oh, you're dumb, right? Like, why are you asking that question? Like, you should know these things automatically. And I think that puts a scar on the majority of people. And I think that put a scar on me, right? As I graduated and I went into the field, it was that thought or that idea of, no, you cannot ask questions. If you ask questions, they're gonna think you're dumb. If you ask questions, they're gonna think that you're not capable and so on. But it took me probably about a year, maybe less, maybe more, to understand that that's all BS. That's not how life actually works. If you're not asking questions, you're not learning enough. If you're not asking questions, you're probably not solving issues. The ones who ask questions are the ones who are truly smart. It's those who try to understand different problems, who try to think about what ifs about this, and those who don't lose time. I think when I was starting, I would lose so much time trying to figure something out on my own, which it's good, right? It's great when you get to work on something and you figure that out and you finished it and everything, but a lot of the times you can't afford to lose 7 days trying to look for a solution on something where you could solve it in less than an hour by just asking someone if they've seen this or if they know about this. So if there's anything that I would do differently, the first thing would be normalizing that those who ask questions are the truly smart people, and anyone who makes you feel bad about asking a question, they're an idiot. Like, honestly, they're an idiot. Like, if they want to give you crap for asking a question, yeah, it's probably because they know everything about life, right? Like, okay, how do electrons actually spin? Whatever. In a nutshell, I think the most important thing is learn how to ask questions and understand that the smart people ask questions. Those who don't ask questions just take longer, don't learn as effectively, and could potentially not accomplish what they want to. Number two, if I could again talk to my younger self as I was learning and I was getting into all of the new things that I now know, I would definitely tell him to compete with yourself, not with others. Always try to compete with yourself and be better than you were yesterday. Everyone's on different timelines. Like me currently, I work with people who are in their 60s. I work with some people who are in their 20s. I work with a range of different people, demographics, ideals, cultures, and so on. And everyone has their own timeline. My life was not the same life that they had. Whether they had it easier or harder, my life is completely different. My situation, my environment, the way that I think, my genes, everything for me is particular to me. And trying to compete with somebody else doesn't really help a lot because they might be in a different stage in their life. The way that they do things might be completely different. It's just hard to improve when you're comparing to somebody else. But as I start comparing to myself, now I have clear guidelines as to what I can actually improve on. I can see who I was yesterday, what I was doing the day before, and what I need to do now. And it gives me a whole lot more benefits. It provides a whole lot more clarity into my work if I can focus on the things that I can change and compete only with myself. Nobody else matters. Nobody else matters, honestly. Like if we're comparing to Mark Zuckerberg, of course we're always gonna be behind, but compared to the other 99% of people who are not where you want to be or where they want to be, focus on competing with yourself, making it better, and making sure that you are better than you were before, and you continue to improve every day. Number 3 is a good network is important, if not critical. I don't know how it took me so long to realize this, as I've always heard about how important it is to grow your network and to have connections and to understand who you can help and who can help you. Importance of having a good network. I believe that this is why a lot of people go to fraternities, or they actually go to school or to Ivy League schools, to get to know a lot of people who in the future might be able to support them, might be able to provide them with help, or might even become their co-founder in a new venture or something like that. Understanding how important this is could literally make a difference between you not getting a job ever and getting a job super easy, as you see a lot of people getting jobs. I read some time ago this statistic provided by HubSpot that said that about 70 to 80% of all job positions that are open are actually filled through networking. That means that it's the friend of a friend or a family member that they know or someone that they worked with in the past. Now, if 70 to 80% of all job positions are filled through networking, spending more time on actually building that network is a whole lot more beneficial than applying to 10,000 jobs on public job boards that you might not even have a chance to qualify because someone else who was referred will take your place instead of you. Focus on growing your network, and this expresses in different ways, right? Like, what is networking in a nutshell? Networking in a nutshell is just having friends and acquaintances as an adult. That's pretty much what you're doing. And depending on the connections and the network that you have, there are things that will become a whole lot easier for everything that you need to do. Keeping good relationships with recruiters could actually land you a job in the future. You don't have to even apply to a job. The recruiter can come to you and give you the opportunities. They might actually reach out to you and let you know, like, hey, we have a couple of opportunities opened. Would you like to apply? I believe that you qualify for this, and they're gonna put in that word for you, which is gonna help you skip the line. Also, try to get in contact with other engineers at companies that you wanna work for. If you wanna work for Google per se, try to reach out to these engineers and try to build relationships and connections with them. Ask questions. How do they get into where they are? What would they recommend if, someone wanted to do the same? Is there anything that they wish they would have done differently? Try to start building these connections so that people understand who you are and what you're capable of. And also keep in mind that people work with people. They don't want to hire just another AI that can write some random code. They want to hire someone who they know they can work with, who they know it's going to be good for the culture of the team, for the culture of the company, who's someone that people can actually work with without too much trouble. Not only someone who's smart, but someone who has good social skills. And if you already know a lot of people from that company, your chances are a whole lot better into going into it than just going in on blind on whatever job board, whether that's LinkedIn, Indeed, or whatever, and trying to apply to jobs competing with 20,000 other people. Number 4, it's very similar to networking, but for this one, you never know who can lend you a hand or who you could lend a hand to. Don't be burning bridges with people that you think, why do I need to keep that relationship with them? I haven't talked to them in forever. You never know what the future holds, and maybe that one person who you had in a community, who was maybe in a class with you, who helped you with a school project, could actually become your next co-founder or your next investor in your own company. You never know who's gonna be there in the future, and purposely burning bridges you don't have to is actually hurting you more than it's helping you. And the effort that you put into keeping those relationships alive, understanding them, actually building some sort of connection with them is going to help you a whole lot more than trying to find the next, interesting person who can actually help. You never know what the future holds. You never know who you could lend a hand to or who could actually lend you a hand in the future. Number 5, it's focus on the key patterns. I think one of the things that took me the most to understand is that there's always going to be the newest, shiniest framework, the new technology that just came out that does X, Y, and Z better, the new JavaScript framework that everyone is in love with. There's always going to be one new thing, and if I'm always just chasing what those things are. If I'm always context switching and okay, now I need to learn Vite, or no, now I need to learn Next.js, or I need to learn X, Y, and Z, what I'm doing is wasting a lot of precious time that I could be doing focusing on the things that actually matter. And if our end goal is to actually get a job, whether that's in web development, just regular full stack, software engineer, backend, whatever that is, if my goal is to actually get a job, I need to focus on the things that truly matter. And trust me, even if I don't want to get a job, I'm just going to build my own apps and provide it to my own clients. Your clients do not care if you used Vite or if you used Next.js or if you built something else with PHP. They do not care what technology or framework you used. What they care is that their app works and that it works as they expect it to work. And same when you go into a job. They don't really care a lot, in the majority of the companies, what framework you know in particular. They want to know your thought process, your skills, that you know the patterns to the different questions that they're going to ask. And this includes knowing what kind of patterns keep coming up in interview questions. What interview questions will I be even asked? What lead code questions actually help me with? What system design questions help me with? Behavioral practices and patterns, and understanding what actually goes into the interview. Yes, it's amazing that you know what the latest framework is. Yes, it's amazing that you're staying with the times, and you will have to as you continue to grow and evolve as a software engineer. I don't think you'll ever stop studying and learning new things. But if our goal is to get a job or to get started by just chasing the newest thing or whatever other framework, it's just losing your precious time that you could be using to actually build the product and then start from there. Focus on learning the key patterns that interviews typically go through, the key concepts that you need to know, like object-oriented programming, different design patterns, the solid principles, and so on, rather than just knowing every JavaScript framework that there is that actually gives you no benefit whatsoever. Number 6 is to understand that it is never too early to start. I know that the majority of the times you hear that it's never too late, and that still applies. It's never too late to get started, to learn how to code, to start upskilling yourself and just getting better at whatever coding platforms or coding activities that you're doing. But I want to make sure that I understand that it's never too early to get started. What does that mean? I didn't need to wait until graduation to start looking into different aspects, into different technologies, into different concepts. I could have started as soon as I could. And I did dabble a lot with HTML, CSS, and some Ruby on Rails back in high school. But then after that, high school, last years of high school, college came, and it just started, kind of becoming a smaller and smaller part of what I do on a daily basis. But the earlier that we start, the better our chances of success are in the future. If I wait until I graduate to even start looking at what the patterns are, how to even study, what is the interview questions, what is the interview process, like the understanding that this is not just like a regular interview, that software engineers go through a completely different thing. If I would have started earlier, I would have saved myself so much time, and just right out of school, right out of college, I could have been able to land the first job, go and grow, and just be a whole lot more prepared. And so keep that in mind, that it is never too early to get started. If there's anything that interests you, whether that's embedded systems, web design, web development, backend, whatever that is, it's never too early. And you can always pick it up and start getting a grasp of the concepts. Try to get familiarized with what they're talking about, what the most important things are. And that's gonna boost your career so much, because now you're ahead of probably a bunch of people who are just getting started as they're getting to their last years in school. And number 7 is stop stressing, dude. You can make your dreams come true. You have so far. And I think that's one of the things that I struggled the most with when I was learning and growing up. It's the constant anxiety and question of, will I actually make what I want to make? Will I actually be able to accomplish my goals and make my dreams come true? And the answer is yes, you will. Yes, it's possible. You're more than capable. You did it. Stop stressing that much. Focus on incremental steps. Focus on learning a little bit every day and just trying to be better than you were the day before, and everything will fall into place. Stop stressing and continue learning. Whatever you're doing, just try to double down on it. Make sure that you're learning the right things and that you're moving forward, and that's going to be enough for you to make what you want to make in the future. So you can make your dreams come true. Don't get discouraged. Don't get so anxious, because it is coming. It takes time, but it is coming to you and you'll accomplish it. I promise. And that's about it. There are so many things that I wish I could tell my younger self, but if I had to kind of put those together in only 7 steps, I think these are the things that are the most important to me and would have helped me so much to get to where I am now in an easier manner with less stress and probably be a whole lot more successful. Now, this is all my personal opinion and what I would have done if I was starting again, and I recommend that if you're going down this path, try to think about these things, try to evaluate, does that apply to my situation? Does that mean I can actually do these things? And if you find that useful, go ahead and let me know below. Go ahead and comment and let me know what you think. Make sure to subscribe as well. It helps me a lot to make more of these videos, and I hope to continue sharing as much knowledge of my journey and what I've done so far. Thank you, keep learning, and stay curious.